Fluorescent lights buzz overhead, casting a cold, flickering glow across the cluttered room. The photograph rests in the center of a worn briefing table, its edges curling with age, though the image itself remains unnervingly clear. Agent Simmons leans in closer, his breath shallow. "Is this some kind of practical joke?" he whispers, eyes narrowing as he scans the face that seems peaceful, yet strangely fractured, as if caught between worlds. Chen, his partner, scrolls through digital files on a tablet, frustration flickering across his face. Every data point glitches, dates, locations, even facial recognition. It all fails. "Look here," he says, pointing at the window's reflection, where the photograph's colors ripple and breathe, shifting with an almost living pulse. A cold draft snakes between filing cabinets, brushing against exposed wrists like a warning. Morales, another agent, forces a chuckle, but her voice cracks mid-sentence. "Could be a deepfake, or maybe we're just overworked," she says, though her eyes betray her doubt. Simmons watches the photo again. Backgrounds blur, melting from urban street scenes to rolling hills, impossible transitions that twist reality. "Did you see that?" His voice falters. Their supervisor, Dillard, remains silent, studying the photograph with a weight that pins the air. Finally, his voice breaks, a low murmur thick with unease. "It's as if the face follows you. But who it is, I can't say. It looks like no one and everyone." His jaw tightens. There's something here we're not meant to know. Something that should stay hidden. Minutes stretch as agents shuffle uneasily, some muttering prayers in forgotten tongues, fingers tracing rings or amulets. One by one, they quietly set down their badges. No explanations, no formal announcements, just a rising tide of unspoken fear. Files remain untouched, dossiers sealed tight as the sun sinks outside the window, leaving the room humming with an inscrutable energy. A lone badge spins on its chain, casting spirals of tarnished light over the photograph's surface. The fluorescent hum dims, but a subtle pulse lingers, a slow heartbeat pulsing from the image itself. Down the hall, Dillard brushes a trembling hand along the wood paneling, whispering, "Let someone braver face this." The office empties, leaving behind a stillness heavier than any secret. Outside, the world continues unaware, but inside, a silent question hangs. What truth hides in the gaze of a photo everyone fears to explain? File folders sit stacked on a table, stale coffee cooling beside the sealed evidence bag. Simmons stands with arms crossed, eyes fixed on the photo. Morales paces, her footfall tapping a nervous rhythm. "It's just a face," she mutters, almost convincing herself, but her voice barely rises above the noisy hum of the lights. Chen flicks through agent profiles, fingers trembling despite years of fieldwork. "We need a technical briefing," he says, avoiding everyone's gaze. "Half our systems froze when the scan hit the server. Do you think this is a hack?" No one answers. Instead, Dillard, steady until now, lets the silence build, staring at the photo as if it might blink. The atmosphere thickens. An agent at the far end of the room whispers something in an unfamiliar language, eyes wide. Another, badge looped around sore knuckles, stares at his hands, color draining from his face. He rises, shakes his head, and walks to the door without a word. His chair creaks behind him, a strange, final sound. Morales's laughter is forced. "This is ridiculous. We see this kind of thing all the time. Don't let it get in your head." But when Simmons nudges the photo forward, the image shifts. The background flickers, and for a second, it isn't just a room or a city behind the face, but something cosmic, swirling. She stares, breath caught, and pushes her badge away as if it's become too heavy to wear. Dillard breaks the tension. Enough. We're closing this. He places the photograph in a manila envelope, sealing it with deliberate finality. No more questions. Log out, walk out. You want to explain this to the next shift? Go ahead. His voice shakes at the edges, but there's a strange relief in letting go. One after another, the agents file out, some with shoulders bowed under invisible weight, others refusing eye contact altogether. Simmons hesitates, then glances back. One last look at the photo before letting the door swing shut. Down the hall, a badge slips from a coat pocket and lands spinning on the cracked tile, the last echo in a room full of unanswered prayers. On the table, coffee grows cold, steam rising once, then vanishing. The manila envelope sits untouched. Outside, fluorescent lights stutter, and a shadow moves across the glass. No one dares re-enter. The only thing clearer than what happened is what they all left unsaid. When even agents walk out without explaining, the real mystery isn't the photograph's origin. It's the secret every witness now carries, and the question only you can answer. When the protectors retreat, what truth might wake inside you? The rain taps the cafe's windows as I huddle over my phone, heart pounding. A reply from the private investigator glowing on the screen. You ready for what comes next? I swallow, recalling the sealed room, restless agents, and that singular photograph, ordinary yet echoing with something far older than modern secrets. We meet in a crowded booth, thunder rolling overhead. He sets the photo between us, handling it with cloth gloves. I've chased lost relics and forgotten rituals my whole career, he starts, voice low, but nothing like this. He nods, eyes fixed on the photo's edges, where patterns ripple beneath its glossy surface. Wherever this image turns up, old folk tales get whispered, file servers crash, protective circles are drawn, in salt. His fingers tremble as he passes over a battered sketchbook. See these? Motifs traced from Russia, Vietnam, Brazil, legends about messengers, those who walk voids. Always an image. Always. He pauses, rain scattering light across the tabletop. An invitation or a warning. His phone hums. Static creeps through each text, the signal odd, as if the air itself is charged. He glances up, face pale. Even tries to upload Stretch Reality. I scanned this photo last night, and the printer jammed with blue sparks. An hour later, my apartment smelled like wet stone, same as an old monastery in Crete I visited once, where saints left marks on the walls. I smoothed the photograph, shivers crawling up my arms. The background seems restless. City outlines waver, distant hills shimmer, hints of symbols coming clear, then ghosting away. It's different with every look, I murmur, more to myself than to him. He nods. Some see flames, others see water. All see a split face. That's the thread. Protectors always arrive unclaimed, at the edge of meaning. A news update flashes across a nearby screen. Systems are down at the bureau, rumors spreading. Be careful, he whispers, pulling his coat tight. Objects with old power are never only yours. If you notice new marks, on walls, glass, even your own hands, write it down. Sometimes coded words, sometimes a scent. Always a sign you're not imagining this. He slips away into the storm, leaving me with the photo, notebook, and a shiver that won't quit. I stare down, breath fogging the glass. A spark of blue glints where my thumb rests, symbols flickering faint, as if daring me to look closer. The world outside blurs for a moment. Passing cars tilt, light bending strange. I'm left with the lingering scent of rain on stone and a mystery that feels less like a case and more like a calling. With the photo in hand, old myths come alive. Protectors and messengers, guardians and witnesses, always on the margins, ready for what's truly hidden. If the story was yours, would you keep searching for the truth behind the image, or turn away, fearing what you might become? Dusk settles over the kitchen as my mother sets down a battered box, hands trembling just enough for me to notice. The photograph sits on the table between us, its edges oddly crisp, the image radiant under the weak overhead bulb. She hesitates, glancing at the photo, then turns to me. "You need to know. Your great-grandmother used to talk about the seen and unseen. In our family, someone is always chosen. No one wanted to believe it, but every few generations, things shift. You start witnessing what others can't." My father enters quietly, eyes drawn to the locket he produces from his shirt pocket. It's old, silver tarnished, clasp almost broken, but he presses it into my palm. "Open it," he says. Inside, tucked behind a faded note, is a miniature print. The same photograph, though it looks decades older. There's a blue thread, barely visible, weaving through the glossy black and white. Same split smile, same impossible calm. Mom draws a slow breath, her voice softer, weighted with years of secrecy. "My abuela used henna to mark every new picture, saying it kept spirits at bay. In Thailand, your aunt folded a lotus, hiding it beneath a cousin's portrait to ask for protection. Your uncle? He brought back a stone from the Moroccan coast, laid it beneath the off-ends, next to photographs and sugar skulls. All different rituals, but each time, the photograph changed, or the person in it did." A coil of incense smoke drifts over the table, blurring the image for a split second. Dad watches, worry creasing his forehead. "You're seeing things, aren't you? Shifts in the photo, the marks, strange dreams." I nod, unable to trust my voice. For a moment, silence settles, an admission, a shared wound. Mom reaches across, fingers warm, steady. "We tried to protect you from this, but secrets can rot a house from the inside. You have to witness, not just explain. Some stories only make sense when you let them breathe." The locket's chain cools in my hand. Behind the glass, the blue line shimmers faintly, almost alive. A memory blooms. An old photo album, candles flickering beside it, relatives tracing symbols and whispering words over images as if hoping to stitch safety into every frame. I finally understand. It wasn't about fear. It was about connection, about holding on to what slips between history and myth. As night deepens, I stare at the photograph, feeling something ancient turning beneath the surface. The secret is no longer just mine to bear. The air is heavier, but somehow freer. I close the locket, holding it tight, as incense swirls, promise and warning painted in the smoke. The night is thick, windows rattling as I try to sleep, the photo hidden under my pillow. I jolt awake, a cold rush through my chest, somewhere between dream and waking. All is shadow, but in the room appear flickers, faces of ancestors, their eyes luminous, each silent but pleading. The wallpaper melts into shifting landscapes, a desert, a seashore, a narrow bridge lined with candles, places I've never seen but feel bone familiar. Glyphs, spirals, lines, impossible shapes, pulse in electric blue when I squeeze my eyes shut, burning an afterimage behind my lids. I gasp, reaching for my phone, any source of light, but the screen rolls with static, icons forming strange patterns before blinking out. I glance at my hand, pulse racing. There, a shimmer, faint but real. A blue sigil slowly appears, curling up my wrist to the palm, glowing brighter as I reach for the photograph. The lamp's shadow flickers strange shapes across the walls. For a moment, it feels like the air itself is alive, breathing secrets only I can hear. I swallow panic, searching memory for comfort. My mother's words, father's locket, the incense from last night. Each detail lines up, hints at a ritual only half remembered. If I focus, steady breath, closed eyes, palm against the image, I sense a mantra, an invocation, though it's in no language I know. The temperature drops further. Cold sweat beads on my forehead, the world sinking away until all that exists is my hand, the blue spiral, and the photograph thrumming in the darkness. A split second later, a vision flashes, a line of guardians stretching back through time, each touched by the mark, each resisting something vast and unseen that always presses at the edge of light. One turns to me, reaches out, not in warning, but in welcome. I nod, uncertain, aching, but strangely hopeful as a stream of knowledge pours in. Stories I've never learned, protection prayers, curses unspoken, a choice forming at the root of my heart. Somewhere, a loud noise snaps me awake. My door is still locked, the window rattling, but the mark remains on my hand, pulsing with blue light. The photo shines for one final moment, then turns still. Each vision, guardian, warning, blessing, lingers, warring for my attention. I whisper, voice shaking, "What do you want from me?" Only silence answers, but it feels less empty now, filled with possibility, with the call not just to witness, but to choose. My night terror has become an awakening, a threshold, a challenge, and an invitation to remember. Has an image ever left you shaken or changed something inside you? Share your story below. A sharp wind whips across the docks as my phone lights up. Unknown number, message urgent. Meet me at the pier. Some things shouldn't fade alone. My pulse jumps. Scanning the encrypted address, I bundle in a jacket and slip out, the blue sigil on my wrist hidden beneath my sleeve. Down by the water, the world feels off balance. An unmarked van sits under the orange glow of a broken lamp. A man steps out. Early 40s, eyes wild, jaw set. His handshake is strong but shaky. "You're not the only one, are you?" he says, glancing around. Behind him, two others. One woman, one gray-bearded man, huddle close, wary. Each carries the mark in their own way. A blue line painted on a finger, a sigil inked behind an ear, an old worry stone clutched so tight the veins in the hand run white. He explains, "We're all former agents. Since walking out, our lives changed. Half of us can't sleep. The other half, well, we see things. Same landscapes as you. Deserts, storms, visions, ancestors I can't name." The woman, trembling, pulls a small sack from her coat and scatters salt in a circle around our group. "Settles the memories," she whispers. "At least for an hour." I ask, "Why come back now?" The gray-bearded man sighs. "Because the image won't let us go. I dream of salt, your face, distant thunder. I hear people whispering your name, sometimes mine. Every time someone comes after that photograph, I know it before the call is logged." The circle closes around the image, each person setting down their own artifact. A Russian prayer cloth, a sliver of kola nut, a Greek worry stone worn smooth by anxious years on the run. For a silent minute, we stand together, facing the city lights across cold, choppy water, hands trembling as the photo passes between us. ringed in salt, pressed to each palm. The tension eases, memory settles. Only together can we quiet it, the woman says. When we part, it grows loud. This, she gestures to the salt, the marks, the circle, is not just survival, it's a truce. I press the photograph flat, letting my breath mingle with the briny air. Static rises on every phone as I whisper, we're not just haunted, we're chosen, and what chooses us wants to tell the world a new story, whether we're ready or not. The wind howls, sea spray cold across our faces. The agent who summoned me offers a tired, grateful smile. I can finally rest, if only for tonight. If the mark calls you again, come find us. We always remember those who remember. Behind us, the city glows and flickers. Ahead, the water stretches into mystery. We part. No goodbyes, only marks shining briefly in the moonlight, then hidden as we blend into the dawn-damp streets. Each step is lighter, a little less afraid. The city never truly sleeps. Neon lights blink in Seoul while sunset paints favelas in Rio. And still, the photograph circulates. My phone pings with news. Crimson graffiti sprawls across concrete. The image's motifs woven into murals and coded tags. In Lagos, a group of digital artists gathers, their screens flooded with the sigil from my photo, pulses of blue and crimson radiating across unfinished sketches. Every time I trace it, it moves. One artist laughs, nerves hidden behind the shimmer of his stylus. Ever feel like you're painting something ancient, not new? In Berlin, hackers lose hours decoding the background symbols, scripts shifting in and out of sight, defying digital translation. A message blinks from a Maori dream singer in New Zealand. The elders think your face is a message, not a warning. We chanted under the moon last night. The photo glowed under salt water, as if the sea itself wanted to sing. I join a live stream from Arizona, Sufi healers clasping hands around a firelit circle, letting the photo pass from one gaze to another. It is not the image that protects, says a woman in white, voice strong and unafraid. It's your willingness to see. Across the globe, a Hopi artist introduces the image into sand paintings, each line claimed in silence, their stories open-ended. I watch, amazed, as Berliners fast in reverence, their ritual not about abstaining from food, but waiting in silence to dream. In Seoul, a dancer performs alone on a rooftop, spirals painted in ink across bare arms, her steps winding and unwinding a story no words could carry. Each tradition bends to the photograph's call. Underwater chanting from Polynesia, invisible ink on Moroccan doors, candles shimmering blue on a Johannesburg stoop. Yet the resonance comes not only in spectacle, but in what's felt. The hush before a single song, the collective breath before the story is told. My own mark tingles, brightening faintly whenever two strangers somewhere, unknown yet kin, light a flame in the night and dare the world to listen. From everywhere, people send messages. What does it mean that my daughter traces spirals on the window after seeing your photo? Or, my dreams are louder now. Should I be afraid? I reply as best I can. This image carries both warning and blessing. Share it as your tradition feels right. Ritual never repeats. It resonates. The world, it seems, has decided to read beyond sight. Some respond with fear, others hope, but those roused by the call form a new spiral, a pattern of witness, courage, and cosmic memory. The photograph is still at the center, but now I realize the true ritual is how the story travels, finding a home in everyone brave enough to see with more than just their eyes. Wind rattles loose panes in my window as I scroll through news feeds. Protesters on one side, pilgrimages on the other. The once secret photograph is now everywhere, shared, memed, even worshipped. But beneath the surface, rifts are spreading. My phone fills with urgent group texts. Did you see the march in Istanbul? My neighbor burned his copy. He said it was evil. In my own city, torn newspapers scatter across doorsteps, headlines debating whether the image is a curse or a path to unity. At home, Sophia paces my living room. She rolls the red thread at her wrist, tension straining her every word. My family, half want to hide every copy, half say we should hold a vigil. Dad hasn't spoken to Aunt Marisol since she lit that vigil candle for the photo. She glances at me, voice raw. How can something mean rescue and ruin at the same time? I tape a patch over the window, neon glaring in from angry headlines below. Maybe the point isn't to agree. Maybe it's that everyone has to decide what the image means for themselves. I answer, feeling the weight of responsibility settle over us. Out the window, I spot elders hunched together, stitching new gold needle spirals into blue cloth, each thread a different prayer for safety or change. A local faith group splits, half sit in fasted silence. The rest chant and paint their own version of the image on temple walls, hoping to claim a fresh blessing. One block over, skeptics stage a bonfire, tossing prints of the photo into the flames while neighbors peek nervously from behind curtains. The air is charged, a strange new hush before a coming storm. I gathered friends for our first real meeting. We can't control how anyone else takes this, I admit quietly, sliding the photograph into the center of the circle. But maybe we can hold space for connection instead of cutting more lines. Sophia hesitates, then nods, laying her palm over the image, her red thread glinting in the fading light. A hush falls over us, full of unsaid hopes, resentments, fears. I don't know what legacy we'll choose, protection or division, silence or story. But for now, we sit together, all differences bare and unresolved, and wait to see what tomorrow brings. A storm rolls over the city, thunder smudging the skyline as I hurry through rain-dark streets. In my pocket, the photograph grows warm, weighty, urgent. Tonight, Sophia and I step quietly through the library's service door, hearts pounding. A coded message led us here, to the archives older than the city itself. We tiptoe among dusty shelves, electric torches flickering gold. An old librarian, face lined with memory, meets us in the stacks. She gestures to a locked door at the back, a chamber sunk deep beneath stone. For those called to remember, she murmurs. Her accent ages each word. We twist the heavy key, pushing open a door perfumed with sandalwood and old paper. Inside, mosaics shift in the torchlight. Deep blue shadows racing across murals painted with spirals, faces, and cities rising and falling. Along the far wall, reels and recorders whir to life, displaying ghostly films, blurry images of other awakenings centuries apart. In Kiev, hooded figures kneel as snow falls on sacred stones. In Kolkata, monks mark scrolls before a bronze bell. Sophia gasps, the mosaic casting a halo across her face. We're not the first, she whispers, voice quivering with awe. Every place, every time, the same mark, the same call. We sift through brittle parchment, hinting at prophecies woven in unfamiliar script. My heart stutters as an inscription flares gold. The one who bears the photograph opens the window between shadows and dawn. Each reader holds their own meaning, warning, hope, or promise. As I translate aloud, the words swim on the page, Right for me, different for Sophia. She reads out loud, seeing, "You must walk with the mark. Tell the story, even when the world tries to forget." Across the chamber, the librarian watches, a smile tucked beneath her scarf. "Each generation faces the same question," she says gently. "What will you carry forward? Fear or the power to witness what needs seeing?" A projector hums, showing the spiral forming and dissolving, faces shifting with each cycle. For a moment, I almost recognize one, a reflection of my own, centuries out of place. A hush as blue-tinted mosaic stones cast beams over the records, ancient and unresolved. We leave with scroll copies tucked into our sleeves and memories pressed into skin and soul. Outside, rain turns sweet on the wind, carrying perfumes of old paper and new possibility. Neither of us can say if we're leading or following, only that the story isn't finished. The archive leaves its imprint, promising there is always a message waiting, different for each, alive in the light we're willing to bring. A hush settles as candles flicker around my living room. Friends gathered, faces half lit by blue shadows. The photograph at the center of our circle. My thumb traces the edge, feeling the pulse beneath glossy paper, every heartbeat tangled with memory. Sophia is the first to break the silence, her red thread unraveling between fingers. "The world's chosen its sides," she whispers. "Some are painting spirals for luck. Others burn any photo they find. My uncle called this a curse. But what if it's an invitation? Or a test?" I stare at the mark on my wrist. Not just mine anymore, but mirrored on palms across continents. Tonight, we're not alone. My phone buzzes with messages. A mural in Sao Paulo, a rooftop vigil in Marrakesh, a girl lighting a blue-laced candle beside her grandmother's ofrenda. All claim the story. All face the photo's unblinking gaze. Sophia studies the group, her voice steely. "We have to decide. If we hide what we've found, maybe we're safe. But if we share," she swallows hard, "we might awaken more than we bargained for. And I don't know if I'm ready. But I know I can't go back to being unaware." Someone else nods, lighting another candle. Wax pooling at the lines on his palm, breath held in the hush before a flame is born. I look across at the others, a rabbi's son tracing symbols on his notebook, a dancer from Accra, gold paint swirling along her arms, a girl from Warsaw folding a piece of blue paper, her wordless prayer resting on her tongue. Each one holds something, fear, hope, defiance, or quiet conviction, but no one rises to leave. The room grows thick with possibility. I close my eyes, the photo warm on my hand. Suddenly I see circles, every city, every vigil, every secret midnight meeting, every palm marked, every candle burning. Some refuse to look. Some step forward, offering their names. Some simply tremble in the dark. A single voice breaks through. Mine, unsure but steady. "We don't all have to choose the same, but I will. I'll carry this mark. If exposure brings danger, then I face it. If it brings an awakening, so much the better. We are not the first. We won't be the last. But tonight, I won't hide what I am." An uneasy silence, then a chorus of soft affirmations, each person, in their own way, deciding, blessed or cursed, we make this ritual real. The blue-laced candles gutter and flare. Wax runs along the table, tracing new spirals in the dark. As the flames steady, resolve fills the air. Some hands lift in prayer. Some rest gently on the photograph. Each ritual, each intention, reshapes the circle. Outside, distant thunder rolls. Inside, hearts beat out the answer. Protection isn't hiding. It's the courage to be seen, and to invite the world to see what waits in the darkness just beyond the flame. What ritual or symbol would you trust for protection in a moment of cosmic uncertainty? Tell us below. Your tradition might inspire someone tonight. Morning breaks across the city as the world buzzes back to life, yet everywhere traces of the spiral remain. News headlines flash. Murals glimmer in Rio's sunrise. Spiral pendants swing from school backpacks in Tokyo. In my own window, candlelight flickers even after dawn, a quiet message for any neighbor who cares to look up. Sophia rings my doorbell, laughter ringing beneath the hush as she passes me a ribbon-dyed electric blue. "Look, my brother painted a spiral on the playground," she says, eyes shining. It slips from her voice. Awe, uncertainty, hope. The city pulses. On the bridge, marchers raise banners borrowed from last night's vigil. Painted hands, wild symbols, circles overlaying old wounds. Some passers-by cross themselves, others linger, trailing fingers along the painted stone. Our group gathers by the water's edge, the photo glittering amid offerings, a lantern, a lock of gold thread, a river pebble blue as the morning sky. Elders arrive, one with a spiral tattooed over sun-dark skin, another humming a prayer in a language older than the street itself. A chill breeze lifts, swirling colored leaves and lantern light together. From his spot on the stone steps, a boy scribbles spiral after spiral in a notebook, every line vibrant as if borrowed from the photograph itself. In a far alley, the dancer from Accra paints gold arcs along a broken wall, each motion bold, deliberate, changing the air around her. Not all who pass by marvel. Two shopkeepers argue, one insisting the marks are a sign of blessing, the other muttering about troublemakers. Their argument is lost to a distant chant, voices rising in harmony from a gathering on the plaza, replaying the story for those who still need to listen, for those too afraid the first time. At the edge of it all, I stand a little apart, embracing what I carry, watching the city remake itself in spirals, songs, lanterns. Protection comes now not just as a secret, but as a story made real in every stranger's step. The photograph travels, projected on a building, tucked in a wallet, painted on a child's hand. Some share new rituals, a lantern parade, hands painted gold. Some simply pause, tracing the old mark in the dust, heads bowed. The world is messier, but more awake. Awe and dissent twine together, unsettling, beautiful. Under the soft shimmer of evening lights, I light a blue candle and whisper a small hope into the breeze, that those who walk between stories never forget how to be seen, and those who fear might still one day return, to watch, to witness, to belong. Lanterns sway above the river. A far-off chorus winds through neon signs. The photograph is everywhere and nowhere, an unbroken thread drifting through memory, through fear, through every hand that dares claim its mark. Night drapes soft and deep across the city, streetlights barely, holding shadows at bay. I stand alone by the open gate, the photograph resting in my palm, warmth blooming quietly beneath my skin. All the crowds, the agents, the doubters, gone. What remains is the question the image first asked. Can you bear to see what drives others away? I lift the photograph, air humming around its surface. It feels different, no longer cold or heavy, but quietly alive, pulsing with memory. I think of Sophia's laughter, the elders' tattooed hands, the marks spread across city walls and playgrounds. I hear snatches of distant prayer, the trace of a chant curling through neon-lit alleyways. I take a breath, letting the cool morning settle into my bones. The mark on my wrist shimmers faintly, rising to meet the image's glow. I press the photograph to the open gate, leaving it for whoever comes next. The seeker, the skeptic, the dreamer who fears and hopes in equal measure. May your gaze awaken more light, I whisper, voice as small as dawn, as sure as any story still untold. As the sun rises, gold touches rooftops and rivers, I step forward. The spiral, on paper, in memory, in every place that dares to look, drifts with me, neither curse nor guarantee, but invitation. Tonight, the mystery waits for new eyes, new hearts. If this mystery stirred something in you, subscribe for more awakenings, and answer. What would you do if your story was the photograph everyone fears to explain?